Arr, Pirate fans! It's time to find out the state of the ship of your defending champions for the 2022 season with your hosts, Johnny Wolver and Jake Ignaszewski. And now, brought to you by Resonate, it's the state of the ship.
Welcome back into the state of the Pirates ship. I'm your host, Pirates Team Insider Jake Ignaszewski. We're here with newly signed defensive back Max Redfield. So, Max, how has your offseason been going so far?
It's been going great. I've actually had 2 training camps in the last few months. I was in Canada with the Edmonton Elks in the CFL. Unfortunately, got released after the first preseason game. I had 4 interceptions in that training camp. I felt really good about it, but unfortunately got released. And then there was this new league established called Major League Football. So I went to that. That was down in Mobile, Alabama. So we were there for about 2 weeks, and then the entire league folded. So a lot of us were, kind of like stranded out there. What do we do now? Luckily, the league provided some transportation for some players back to where they were. So I got a flight back to California. But since then, I just continued my training, on the field, in the weight room, beach workouts, hill workouts, all different types of stuff. So I'm ready to go, man. I'm excited.
And what intrigued you about signing with the Pirates?
Yeah, actually, I got reached out to by a couple of representatives on the team. It was about a year or so ago, and I think I had just signed to maybe a team in Italy or maybe a different opportunity. So I wasn't necessarily interested at the time. But then they circled back around to me just recently, a few weeks ago. And it seemed like the right time, before it was an attractive opportunity because of just the type of team and organization it seems like the Massachusetts Pirates have. You guys seem to hold yourself to a very high standard. Obviously, you recently won a championship, and the organization's only been established for a short amount of time. So for me, that was super impressive, and I like to associate myself with high performing organizations, and I'd be excited to contribute any way I can. So here I am, man.
And I'm curious, did you talk to any former players or anything like that from their experiences with the team?
Yeah, Aaron Maxie Penton was actually a friend of mine. We were on the Birmingham Iron team together in the Alliance of American Football. This was another league that got shut down after it was the 8th game of the season. So luckily we got paid for a little bit, and then it got shut down. But he's someone who I tapped in with and kind of asked for his input. And, obviously he's had a lot of success. He likes the environment, he likes the people and the staff in the organization as well as the fans. So I'm like, man, I'm going to go for it, man. And obviously I'm excited to reunite with him too. He's a exciting dude, a good dude, real down to earth as well as a playmaker. So, we're going to make some plays together.
Yeah, Am's got great personality, not only on the field, but off the field as well. One of the funniest guys in the locker room, and also makes incredible plays out there on the field. But especially with you talking with him, about the opportunity and playing in the indoor football league, did he talk to you a little bit about maybe some differences from the outdoor game into the indoor game?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot more fast-paced game, because it's more condensed, different amount of players on the field. It changes the dynamic of, the spacing and what routes are successful, different coverages and stuff like that. So we didn't really dive in too deep, but he definitely said it's a different game and really the pace of the game and just the strategy behind the game because of the different amount of players and just the arena as well. It's a whole different strategy as well.
And especially with the boards, you get to tackle guys up against the boards. And the also cool part about it as well is fans are right there. And that's one thing that, in my first year with the team that I thought was so cool is, even before a play or something like that, players are able to go over, interact with the fans, and just it makes it a lot more fun experience, especially for the Pirates fans.
Yeah, I love that. I'm all about the crowd and getting the crowd into the game and keeping it high energy. And I think that's, it also seems like we have a strong support system in home games. So it seems like it's a lot of fun to play at home. And it's definitely an advantage when you have fans, that bought into the organization,
And then there's also, the receivers get a jump start as well. And so with those components of the walls, the changes from the outdoor game into the indoor game, have you been keeping that in your mind, especially going through some of your trainings ever since signing with the team?
A little bit. I think it's more of learning the different techniques that are advantageous with the team, with the coaches. I think that stuff they'll definitely touch on, especially for new players. different ways to just keep that in mind and play to the advantage, knowing the different rules. But I've just been watching film, really, watching different film on different teams and just kind of getting familiar with the flow of the game.
And that's one thing, you mentioned it with it being such a fast-paced game. It's something where even as somebody who's watching the game, it goes by like that. And
exactly.
that's what's cool about it as well. Seeing especially how the defense prepares and everything like that. It just goes like a split second. And especially with talking to guys on how they acclimate, that's the first thing that they say is that it's a much faster-paced game.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm doing my best to get on field training. I'm doing some one-ons with different receivers and just getting on the field more consistently as it gets closer to February. I'm just so I have that muscle stamina, muscle endurance to be sprinting, playing at a high level, fast pace, for a long period of time.
And you mentioned your past experience in the AAF, the CFL. You also played a little bit in DC in the XFL. So from those different experiences, in the leagues outside of the NFL, what do you think was some of the biggest lessons that you took from playing in those leagues?
One of the biggest lessons was just basically intrinsic motivation. How bad do you really want it, and then translating that into your habits and processes of every day. Whether it's lifting, diet, different practices to take care of your mental health. Like I meditate a lot, I do yoga, I like to get into nature, do different stuff like that. So those different experiences really just strengthened basically my inner knowing of who I am and what I need to perform my best. Because in those different situations, you have different access to resources, you have different demands, whether it's practice, game. When I was out in Italy, I played receiver and safety, so I played every snap of the game, and our resources and maybe facilities weren't necessarily the same as like a Notre Dame or a CFL team. So really, it gave me a new perspective on how important it is to take care of your body, your mind, and then just putting that into practice. Putting consistent habits and daily processes that empower yourself.
And especially, speaking about, focusing on your mental health and training your mind. And you spoke about meditation. When did you first start doing those sort of habits, and how did you really try and implement that into your game?
Yeah, I would say either my sophomore or junior year at Notre Dame. I was around 20, 21 years old. That's when I really started consistently meditating, was really diving more into my spiritual journey. Who am I beyond football? What makes me thrive, whether it's on the field, off the field? What makes me feel centered and grounded in myself, and what also takes me out of balance and knowing, to stay away from those things, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say really in college, going out to Notre Dame, I was in California and then went out to Notre Dame, which is in Indiana. So it was my first time kind of out on my own. And I got that opportunity in different ways to kind of critically analyze myself. What do I truly want out of football, out of life? Like I said, what helps me thrive? What helps me feel centered and balanced, and so I can show up, my full power every day.
And how do you implement that stuff into your game day rituals? Now, do affirmations, meditation before the game?
Yeah. Usually the night before and the morning are the two main times. Usually I take baths and really just meditate in the baths, and I do meditate with affirmations on, either saying affirmations to myself or having audio affirmations from whether it's YouTube, Spotify, different stuff. I also record affirmations myself and do guided meditation. So sometimes I listen to myself as well, which also adds like a new kind of new dimension to it. Hearing your own voice and yeah. But other than that, I would say game day rituals, routines is also, visualizations. I would say is super important. I always visualize, making big plays, the best case scenarios, and really putting my energy into that and feeling into that. Also visualizing different routes that might be trouble for me in different coverages. Also, certain routes that I do want to see so that I can make a play on them in certain coverages as well. So I would say, visualizations is huge, as well as just affirmation, speaking life into yourself, and really putting yourself in the mindset to perform your best.
Honestly, I believe that that's how I got this job. I visualized being a team insider for any sort of baseball, football, any sort of team, and
Wow.
Something that, I do daily is I write down, my goals and the way of it's already happened. Time just hasn't caught up yet. And
Exactly.
I think especially visualization is so powerful. And one of our former players last year, Lucas Dennis, he actually caught 2 interceptions in one game. And he said to me prior to the game, he's like, I saw myself catching 2 interceptions in this game and it's going to happen. Just watch. And he made it happen. And it's pretty incredible how powerful that stuff is.
Yeah, 100%. And I love to hear that, the other guys on the team are aware and practicing as well. And then I think the more that mindfulness, the aspect of, it has a certain spiritual nature to it, because you're becoming aware of your own essence, your own energy, and what you have the capability to do, whether it's influence your own reality or co-create a reality that's of your highest desire, highest expression, So I think that's amazing. Love it.
And especially, like overcoming failure, how like when an instance like that happens or you don't have a great game, is there any sort of process that you go through to not allow it to bog you down?
Yeah, 100%. I think as humans naturally, like we're critically, like we're hardest on ourselves. So I always critically analyze my performance, play by play. And if it's a bad game, then I learn. Usually we also know like the mistake that we made, whether it's like a coverage mistake or a mistake or whatever it may be for defensive back. So we're always pretty good about knowing our mistakes. So for me, I know what it is. I basically accept it for what it is, and then move on from it. The longer we hold on to something, it's just us letting it affect us moving forward. So I do my best to learn from it, get the learning, and then keep it moving.
It was really interesting, doing research for this interview, looking at sort of your past with mental toughness. One of your former coaches, Brian Van Gorder, said that benching you actually benefited you in the long run and demonstrated your mental toughness. He said, I really gained a lot of respect for how he handled that. He didn't make any excuses. He just went out, worked hard. I think that says a lot about who he is as a player. And so talking about your mental toughness, how have you really grown through that throughout your football career?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. He said that he was actually a person who was one of the toughest people in my life, and actually created an environment that wasn't comfortable. A lot of verbal abuse towards me and my teammates, and really just an environment where it felt like survival mode, constantly, kind of looking over your shoulder. If you make one mistake, could potentially be benched, be taken out. In that instance, it was a practice. I think it was a Thursday before a Saturday game. And I made an audible that the coach wanted to call different. The audible I called is the one that we were going to call on Saturday, but he still didn't like me calling the audible. So he stopped the entire play and actually put me with the third string during this play. Of course, I was upset, all these different things. And everyone knows if you get changed from the first string on a Thursday, you're probably not going to get your spot back by Saturday, because we just have walkthroughs on Friday. So I ended up not starting that game. But when I did come in at around halftime, I ended up getting an interception that game and still performing well. I had a cast on as well. So I got an interception with the cast, and I was like, obviously amazed and super thankful for that I was just staying prepared and really just staying mentally in it and however I can contribute and staying ready for the moment, staying ready. But just being in that situation every day, where you can't necessarily change it. You have a boss or a coworker who isn't necessarily aligned with you in most ways, and maybe you don't communicate in a very healthy or consistent, smooth way, whatever it may be. But for me, it taught me how to thrive in those situations and how to deal with the different personalities, the different characters that you come into. So he was actually one of the coaches who forced me to do that really in more of an extreme and dramatic way that I ever had in my life, honestly. And that did help me grow a lot. And did really grow my mental toughness. So it's interesting that you said that. Like, that instance made my mental toughness, but it was literally just every day having to deal with him in different ways for 2 years, basically.
And you really seem to thrive during your college career, not only at Notre Dame but also at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And so that it's been 5, almost 6 years since your college days. And I'm curious, not only as a person but as a player, how do you think that you've grown?
Yeah, it really the biggest growth is really mentally, the mental aspect of football. I feel like I've evolved a lot in that way. In the last 5 years, I've played in a lot of different programs professionally, having to learn a lot of new defenses, being plugged in different positions, whether it was like it's called like a halfback in the CFL, where you're in mostly the slot, kind of like a nickel. You're mostly man to man on the slot. Strong safety, free safety, and even playing receiver professionally in Italy. It just taught me. It really showed me how badly I wanted it. In my high school career, I was an All-American. And I went to Notre Dame and was a preseason first team All-American for my junior year. I broke my thumb actually the first series of the first game. So I had a cast on for those first 10 weeks and ended up getting dismissed from the bowl game and the Fiesta Bowl game at the end of the year. And then ultimately dismissed that next summer. So all this different adversity really just showed me how bad I really wanted it, because before that, I kind of just expected to go to the NFL and just kind of have a smooth ride, because I always considered myself one of the best at what I do. But I wasn't necessarily putting in the time, the energy, and really the mentality of, I want to be the best. I want to go to the NFL, and this is what I need to do every single day to make it happen. It was more doing stuff that I felt like was good for my peace of mind, or good for my business, good for this, good for that. Maybe spreading myself in different ways, but not necessarily all in for football, all in for everything I need to give to be a professional in the NFL. So it really just showed me how bad I wanted it, and in that has motivated me to put in the time and energy and attention and focus to everything that makes me successful on the field. And I'm ready to do that. I'm all in, man.
I think, with your experience in, all these different leagues and being able to learn on the fly as well, I think will make it a little bit easier when acclimating to the indoor games, because some guys go right from the NFL right to indoor football, and it's sort of like a whole different game. And it was interesting for me this past season getting to see guys going through some of those growing pains and getting used to sort of the changes, and so I think with you having to overcome sort of that adversity, it'll definitely help you through this new opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. It definitely has, again, from the CFL, there's a little bit different rules there. And in the league in Italy, they actually had an NCAA rules. So yeah, I do agree. And I'm ready for the change, man. I'm ready to adapt.
And, you talked about, overcoming that adversity and, having that vision to thrive and get to the NFL. And luckily you were able to get a chance in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders. You were a participant in their mini camp, and was curious sort of your favorite parts from that experience and how that really helped you grow as a player.
Yeah. I love how the team felt, like the team felt in the professional atmosphere of the Raiders. It felt like they wanted everyone to thrive. It felt like they catered to their players to a certain extent, which I love. There was different times in my life where I felt like it was either do it this way or you're not going to play. And for me, that wasn't necessarily a place where I felt like I thrived. I feel like I thrive when coaches and players want the best for each other and do their best to show that and act like that. So in that environment, I felt like I was in an environment where I could thrive and had people who wanted the best for me, and it was just really professional and just felt comfortable. Yeah.
Makes sense. And were you able to sort of learn from any of the players there and be able to get any advice that you still use to this day?
Yeah, Carl Joseph was around kind of the camp a little bit. I was in the rookie mini camp, so the veterans weren't with us. They were just kind of around the facilities, maybe would watch a little bit. But just talking to Carl Joseph a little bit, he gave me a different perspective on just how to thrive and be a pro. I don't really have like an exact quote, but really I just again, it was just one of those points where it was just like, yeah, this game needs to be taken a whole lot seriously when it is a profession at this high level,
And throughout this interview, you talked about your focus on your mental health, and you were actually a contributing author of the Mental Health Warriors. And in your description, I had said that you're on a mission in life to inspire, uplift, enlighten, and empower billions of humans and nothing less. So talk a little bit about Max Redfield off of the football field and how you want to use your voice to help inspire others.
Yeah, I believe part of my mission here, part of why I'm here, is to shine my light in the darkest of areas. So some of the darkest industries we have are the financial realm, the entertainment sector, fashion and things of this nature. So I'm involved in modeling and acting. I've gone into a lot of different business, just consulting with different business partners and things of that nature. And really, there's just so many different, maybe passions or interests that I have. And I'm trying to make the most out of all of it. There's a lot of access and resources that I think we have in general in the United States, but as well as myself, having gone to Notre Dame, being raised in Orange County and different things like that. And I just feel that I've been placed here with a lot of opportunities to again, just remind people of, how powerful they are, how they can, create to contribute to creating their own lives, just like how we were talking about visualization and then having these things come to fruition. Everyone has this ability. So it's very important for me to just help increase the awareness, help increase what I feel like has been happening for a while, this shift where, not everyone's in survival mode and feel like they need to, work 20 hours a day just to be successful or whatever it is they feel like around this scarcity mindset. I just want to, contribute to the abundance mindset and contribute to the growth mindset that really I feel like will contribute to our whole, community, society, uplifting each other and evolving faster. There's a lot of negative things going on, a lot of this, a lot of that, but there's also a lot of growth. There's a lot of coming together, faster than ever, coming together more than ever, awareness growing, and all of these different things. So I feel like it's a lot part of my journey, my mission to contribute to that.
I couldn't agree more. And something that I always say is we each have what we're using to communicate, a voice. We each have a voice, and how are we going to utilize that to help others through our experiences? And the other thing as well is we're all on this earth trying to figure out what the heck this is, and at the end of the day, all we can really do is try to help each other get along with it, and support each other in any way that we can. And especially with that mindset of uplifting and inspiring others, how do you really try to utilize that skill in the locker room, especially with some of your teammates?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed being a natural leader, like pushing myself as hard as I can. I'm trying to be that example. There's been a lot of times where I haven't been that example or worked really hard on the field and then haven't been consistent off the field. So for me, I've always been kind of like the glue in the locker room, where I feel like I can relate to a lot of the players. I naturally want the best for my teammates. So anywhere I can, help anyone off the field, I'm always happy to do so, as well as, contributing to the mindset, just like we're talking here, this abundance mindset, this growth mindset, just being someone who, kind of shines that light and puts out that energy consistently. I think that contributes to the team being successful overall. So I love bringing that to the table.
And we've always heard how important chemistry is, and that's one of the biggest things that I've heard from AMP, also former Pirates Toby Johnson, about what helped make the 2021 team so successful. Ultimately hoist up that trophy at the end of the 2021 season was that chemistry. And I think being able to bring sort of that mindset to the locker room that you bring is going to be so important throughout this season. Last two things for you is you mentioned that your one of your interests is acting, and I'm curious if there was a movie made about your life, what actor would you want to play you?
That's a good one. Let's see. I'll say Michael B. Jordan. We'll go with Michael B. Jordan. He's had some great performances as of recent, and I like how he kind of portrayed the villain in Black Panther, and also brought different perspective of kind of like how he became that way, and like the journey that he went through. So I think he would give great perspective on the different things that I went through. And yeah, he's a great one.
He would need to grow out the hair a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It'll take him a little while. That's all right. Throw on a wig.
And then one last thing for you. If there was one thing that you'd want Pirates fans to know about Max Redfield, what would it be?
I would want them to know that I'm going to give everything I have, and that my plan is, to show that I'm one of the best at what I do and win the championship. So it's more of just I want to show them, I want them to know me through what I do and through what I show them rather than what I say, so something like that.
Awesome, man. Can't wait for you to be part of this 2023 team, and really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.